One would think that there's two Yochanan Kohen Gadols, because when we read on Chanukah, we read Bimei Matityahu ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol. And we also know that there's another Yochanan Kohen Gadol, the one that it says on him in Berachot Kaftet, Al ta'amin ba'atzmecha ad yom motcha, Yikotzin Avot Bet Dalid, that a person should not believe in himself until the day he dies. And there's two Yochanan Kohen Gadols. One Yochanan Kohen Gadol was the Kohen Gadol that was Shemesh 80 years, and in year 80 he snapped and became a Tziduki. And then there's another Yochanan Kohen Gadol, that is Yochanan, the father of Matityahu, who's part of the Hashmonaim and the victor of the story of Chanukah. There's a sefer called Botzina Dinohora. It's written by Rabbi Baruch Mezibuzh. Rabbi Baruch is the brother of the Degel Mahane Ephraim. He is the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Yisrael ben Sarah. His sister is Fege, who's the mother of Rabbi Nachman. Mishpacha Tova, Mishpacha Tzadikim. He has a little sefer called Botzina Din Hora. It's 39 pages. You can get it on HebrewBooks.org. And it's got all little Hidushim. He brings down that actually the Yochanan Kohen Gadol, that was the father of Matityahu, was that Kohen Gadol, and there was only one. And he was the one who snapped and became a Tziduki. He went from being a Sadiq to becoming a Tziduki. And the Gemara talks about exactly what he did. How did he become a Tziduki? He was over 100 years old, 80 years in doing the Kehuna as a Kohen Gadol. What did he do? What, did he bring a cheeseburger to the Beit HaMikdash one day and they told him he's a Tziduki? So the Gemara in Yoma Nun Gimel actually tells us what happened. It tells us that every day the Ketoret had to be brought, the incense. The incense had to be brought in the Hechal, which is located in the Kodesh. It's a location in the Beit HaMikdash that's closed off. It's not visible to anybody from the outside unless you're inside the room, because there's a door. Every day, different Kohanim had to bring the Ketoret. There would be one Kohen in the morning and one Kohen in the evening. And they would not be the same Kohen, because every Kohen that brought this Ketoret had a tremendous amount of beracha financially, and so they spread the wealth by giving to different Kohanim. Even if the Kohanim were not part of the Mishmar, the 2-week Mishmar that they had, it could be any Kohen. He's a Kohen, he can come in and bring it. Now the process is, when you bring the Ketoret, is that you bring the coals in one arm, in a pan, and then the other arm you're going to have the Ketoret. And then in the Kodesh, by the Mizbeach HaZahav, it's a little golden altar, they would bring it on there, and they would burn it together. Now, on Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol would do this avodah, but he would bring the Ketoret into the Kodesh HaKodashim. The Hachamim had a policy that on Yom Kippur, when you light the Ketoret, you do not light it inside of the Kodesh, where you light every day for the Mizbeach HaZahav, but rather it has to actually be lit inside of the Kodesh HaKodashim. The Tzidukim said no. The Pesukim say that it has to be done in the Kodesh like every day. Also on Yom Kippur, he does it the same exact way. Came Yochanan Kohen Gadol in year 80, and instead of lighting up the Ketoret inside of the Kodesh HaKodashim with the coals, he ends up doing it inside of the Kodesh. Now, I'm not exactly sure how they found out he did it. My assumption is that he died in the middle of doing it, and being that it was the second Beit HaMikdash, there was no Aron, and they ended up having on his leg probably a chain in case he did die, and they probably discovered that he died in the Kodesh, and they discovered that he did it there. Again, I'm not exactly sure they found it, but that was my assumption of how they found it, that he died, and they pulled him out. So now the question is, if this is the Yochanan Kohen Gadol that became a Tziduki, then why are we even mentioning him? Why even talk about him on Chanukah? That's not a good part of the story. Nothing good came from this. The Gemara tells us in Sanhedrin Kuf Daled, Bera Mezaka Abba, that the children can do a zechut in order to merit their parents, their grandparents, all the way back. It's actually a huge Hidush. The Hidush in and of itself is tremendous. It's that somebody else, your offspring, can actually do something that benefits you. Meaning you could do your own mitzvot to get to a certain place. You can actually have 10, 20 kids, grandkids that are doing mitzvot, also getting you to a good place. And that's a Hidush in and of itself. And sometimes we see that the children do the same mitzvot or similar mitzvot like their father, sometimes in a better way, sometimes in a different way, and it's unique. There's a Mishnah in Baba Kama, Perek Vav, Mishnah Vav, you'll see it in the Gemara, it's on Samech Bet, Amud Bet, it's at the end. The Mishnah over there, Rabbi Baruch says, take a look at this Mishnah and how it has to be learned. It says, Gamal, Shaya Ta'un Pishtan, a camel that had on it linen. Va'avar bishut harabim, and he goes into a public place. V'nichnas pishtano letoch hachanut, and the camel's linen that's on him went into a shop. V'dalku b'nerosh shel chanvani v'hidlik et habira, and through the light that was located in the shop, maybe a little candle that was in the shop, it lit up the linen that was on the camel, and everything got burnt. Bala gamal hayav, the one who owns the camel, he's responsible. It's your camel. The linen is on your camel. The linen got caught on the flame inside of a hanut, inside of a shop. You, the owner of the camel, are responsible for anything that happened from it. But the Mishnah tells us, but if the henvani, the store clerk, if he put a candle outside of his shop, and then the gamal, which had on it the linen, went by and it got ignited and made a fire, then the one who put the candle outside, the bala hanut, the henvani, he's hayav. Rabbi Yehuda omer b'ner Chanukah patur. Rabbi Yehuda says, but on the ner Chanukah, he's patur. So Rabbi Baruch Mezibuzh says, go back to this Mishnah and read it again. It says, what was the problem originally with Yochanan Kohen Gadol is that he lit outside. He lit bachutz. Instead of lighting in the Kodesh HaKodashim on Yom Kippur, he lit bachutz inside of the Kodesh. And he's hayav for doing that. Now look at this Mishnah. Gamal shaya ta'un pishtan. If a camel has on it linen and he goes into the Shut Rabim and he lights up a store, the Bal Gamal hayav. If the henvani, he lights outside, henvani madlik bachutz, henvani hayav, Bal Hanut hayav. Amar Rabbi Yehuda b'ner Chanukah patur. But on ner Chanukah, the henvani is patur. Rabbi Baruch says henvani is of the Yot Yochanan. Yochanan shehidlik bachutz hayav. But if b'ner Chanukah is patur. And now you see why the Hashmonaim and specifically Matityahu had a specific request on Chanukah. V'hidliku nerot behatzrot kochecha, like you say in the Al-Nisim, that they lit the candles in the hatzir, in the courtyard, outside. So the miracle is Pirsem Nisa, to light outside, lik bachutz. Why is he lighting bachutz? To be mitaken, what his father Yochanan had done. Now, of course, they lit outside because originally in the Beit HaMikdash, the area was defiled, it was tameh, it wasn't clean, they had to fix up the place and get it all set up. But you see from here, sometimes the children are doing mitzvot and they're doing a tikkun to their father and grandparents that also did the mitzvot. Sometimes their ancestors could have done the mitzvah in a catastrophic way where they had an opinion, but it was a catastrophic Tziduki opinion. Comes the children and they end up doing the mitzvah and fixing it and being mitaken the whole way through. And that's why you see it's in Baba Kama in Arabic, and in other language, Baba is father. How can you make your father come? Baba Kama, lift your father when you are Gomel, when you are Baal Gamal, Bener Chanukah, Hidlik Bachutz. And I think if we take this lesson, sometimes you'll see that the feelings, the heshek that you have for certain mitzvot and your ability to do them, sometimes they're based on fixing something. And so don't give those feelings up. Sometimes you have a certain mitzvah, you have a little hesed, you like to do mitzvah, you have a guy, he likes to clean the shul, a guy puts away the books, a guy has a hesed, he likes to help people. If that's what you like, go for it. If it's in the Torah, in the mitzvot, in Gemilut Hasadim, go for it. And this action can actually be a tikkun for you and your family. Chanukah Sameach.